Let's get into Elite 11 Ohio. And speaking of quarterbacks and speaking of talented quarterbacks, Tavien St. Clair, Drew, you texted me, which we like to do when we're at these events. And you're very excited about Tavien St. Clair, the number 6 player in the country, the number 2 quarterback overall. We have him there, right? We got him at the top of the board, top 1% in the country. I think this was kind of an eye-opening experience for you to get to see him live after you've seen some of the other quarterbacks at the top of the board, and just physically what he looks like, he's pretty different.
Yeah, measurements haven't come out yet for that camp. But body type wise, he looks like a college player. And, Devin Brown was there. Aaron Nolan was there. The regional was outside of Columbus, and two Elite 11 former finalists, they showed up and they were hanging out with Tavien St. Clair. And if you had to, pick the one that had the best collegiate frame, I think you could make a case it was Tavien. And Coop, he's got the hairstyle kind of like Justin Fields. And I'm not saying he's Justin Fields. That's not my comp for him, but off the hoof. And there's some other people in the Ohio State beat were telling me when Tavien walked out of the tunnel for the spring game 2 weeks ago, they actually thought it was Justin Fields. Like they were confused at first. He was wearing sunglasses, but he's got the same hairstyle. Yeah, he looks physically ready to go. I mean, last number on him, 6'3.5", 211 pounds. I think he was up to 220. He's kind of leaned out a little bit. Yeah, I cannot wait till you see him at the Elite 11 finals. And one of the big reasons why I flew up to Columbus because I wanted to see Tavien St. Clair. I've seen all these other guys throw in person. I wanted to see him before we get to the summer months when the Elite 11 finals is great. Awesome event. We got 20 elite quarterbacks going on. And I had a hunch I was going to be able to zero in on Tavien St. Clair. I knew there was going to be some other Power 4 guys there. Had my fingers crossed that maybe Bryce Underwood would show up. That didn't happen, but Tavien was the story of the day. And Coop, I wrote it in our top performers I did with Alan True coming out of it. I think Sunday could serve kind of as the launching point towards him working his way to quarterback one. Love the workout. It was probably one of the best I've seen in a while in that type of setting. And they're throwing to stationary targets. They're throwing on the move. I just loved Tavien St. Clair's footwork, kind of how he moved around. I love the stroke. It's very free. It's very repeatable. It doesn't look like something that's been coached up, and he can let it rip. I heard one of the Elite 11 counselors describe it. He was kind of snapping the football. He's like, you knew when Tavien St. Clair was up because the ball just sounded different. And I kind of thought the same way. And then you get around him, you talk to some of his coaches that are there. I think between the ears, this kid is wired the right way. Like if I had to bet on kind of a quarterback in terms of like off the field and preparation, I think Tavien St. Clair is my guy. And, he's at a school that's an hour away from Ohio State. They haven't had a Power 5 or Power 4 signee since I think 1969. I was talking to the coaching staff about it, and Tavien is going to be the first one, and he's had options to leave and go somewhere else, but he wants to be there. And I just came away blown away by him in that workout.
I mean, if you're looking for a horse to bet on, right? I mean, the odds of somebody overtaking Bryce Underwood, outside of that, you got David Sanders at number 2. You got Devin Sanchez, the corner out of Texas at 3, Decory Moore at number 4, Naeem Offert at number 5, and then you got Tavien St. Clair at number 6. So just from a pure positional value standpoint, Tavien St. Clair going to be one of the more intriguing names. And 11-3 as a starter last year, completed over 70% of his passing attempts, at 37 touchdowns, 6 INTs. Drew, I thought the Justin Fields comparison, just in terms of physical frame, is pretty intriguing. The height weight on Fields is what? Got to be right around there, right? 6'2" and change, 6'3", 215, 220 pounds. Tavien St. Clair, I have not seen him in person yet, but it was the video that Tom Loy, when he went out to, I believe, Las Vegas, right? They had that combine. And you see him, Underwood's out there, and all these other top quarterbacks are out there. And you see St. Clair, and it's a different type of player just in terms of how he's built, how he's put together, and the way that he can stroke the football. So super excited about him. He earns his invite to the Elite 11 finals. Drew, think about it this way. Got Jeremiah Smith last year, right? 2024, you got St. Clair. Still got some work to do, but in prime position at number 6. We'll have the Elite 11 finals. He'll also have his senior year as well. Has he committed to an All-Star game yet?
He is in the All American Bowl.
There we go, baby, on it early. So he'll have plenty of opportunities for the race for not only quarterback number 1, but more than likely number 1 overall. So we'll see what happens there. But Ohio State, think about it this way: Jeremiah Smith, potentially Tavien St. Clair. And then in 2026, you're looking pretty good right now with Chris Henry as well, right? So Ohio State putting it together at the top of the board.
Can I just also add this on Tavien and that Ohio State fit? It's like this quarterback kind of just fell into their lap, a local kid. And, last summer they had a bunch of kids throw and they decided to go all in on Tavien St. Clair. And he has a huge improvement between his sophomore and junior seasons. I would expect him to take another jump here as a senior. And this kid just loves the Buckeyes. Ryan Day was there at the camp. You have Ryan Day, Joe Moorhead. There was another head coach. I can't remember who was there because they all had sons throwing. And Tavien warmed up with Ryan Day's kid, who's a quarterback in the 2027 class. He spent his entire spring break in Columbus sitting in the film room with all those guys that are there: Devin Brown, Aaron Nolan, Julian Sayin. Chip Kelly was, getting him on the whiteboard and whatnot. And I can't remember who pointed out this fact, but Tavien St. Clair is going to be like the first in-state quarterback signee for the Buckeyes since Joe Burrow. Just kind of falling right in their lap. Like he's the real deal. And, you go to these off-season events, right? I think if you drop Tavien St. Clair at some of these other camps we've been at, some of these other, 7-on-7 tournaments and whatnot, I mean, it's pretty eye-opening, and it's easy, to see why we're so high on him.
Joe Burrow guy worked out okay. I mean, him and Dwayne Haskins, Ohio State ended up going with Haskins, ends up being a high draft choice, and Joe Burrow, the rest of the history there with the 2019 LSU team.